being global kind of means that we recognize that as clients, you've got your own needs, problems, solutions. And this has been even more important as we've shared the challenge of COVID amongst us all and the complex range of issues, whether at a regional or a national level. And the past year, I think, has shown how important it is to be there for our partners, but it's also shown how resilient we can be. So talking of resilience and challenges, we're now actually going to come to our final country that we're going to go to. And we kind of didn't put it up on the screen because we weren't sure if we could kind of, I guess, carry this off, given just everything that's going on right now. I shared at the beginning that all of our speakers, there's a live feed, so everyone has been kind of live, and that will continue now. So as we go through this next one, if we do lose our next speakers, there's a lot of unpredictable power cuts that's outside of our control and outside of their control at the moment. So we've talked about a variety of local challenges partners and colleagues are seeing around the world. But I think everybody would probably agree some of the challenges that the next two people we're going to hear from is unparalleled and unimaginable pretty much to all of us. So we are thrilled that Marina and Helen are able to join us live from the Ukraine, hopefully on the screen. Perfect. So Marina, Helen, good afternoon. Hopefully you can hear me okay.
Hello, David. Good afternoon, everybody in Malta. I can hear you very well right now. So maybe I'll just start with introduction. My name is Helen Volska, and I am a managing partner of EBS. We're a Ukrainian-based company with more than 24 years of experience in payroll, HR, audit, accounting, tax, law, and IT consulting. And we're a team of 290 qualified experts servicing more than 250 clients in Ukraine.
Hi, everybody. My name is Marina Makarenko. Greetings from the heart of Ukraine, the beautiful Kiev. I'm a partner and payroll practice outsourcing leader at EBS, and it's actually a great honor for us to have the opportunity to address such a distinguished audience. We've been a local partner of ADP since 2009, and we are actually the biggest payroll provider in Ukraine now.
So as Marina said, these guys are in Kiev at the moment, and I thought it would be interesting for everybody to kind of, we've got a few questions for them over the next probably 5 to 10 minutes. So I guess people here would be curious to hear, it's been a year since the invasion in, I guess, Feb 2022. How do you and everybody there react to such unimaginable events? Maybe Helen, I think you're going to take this one.
Well, we have started to receive some warning signals about potential invasion back in November 2021. And although no human being ever wants to believe in bad forecasts, bad news come and go whether or not you believe them or not. So we have learned a lesson back in 2014 when the first conflict arose around Crimea and the east of Ukraine. And we realized although we all want to hope for best, we really need to be prepared for the worst as well. And before February 21st, we had to reassess our BCP to ensure its actuality for the upcoming risks. We had to update where possible and where needed our BCP, and we also had to act immediately on implementation of those updates and take many necessary steps. So we had to think about people, communication, both like land communication, mobile, internet, everything. Physical security of important documents, service, computer equipment. And as no one ever was in such a situation, we had to run all different scenarios and inform, of course, our people and our clients of what we were going to do if anything happens.
So you talked about BCP, and I'm sure nobody ever wants to kind of invoke that plan for the situation that you all experienced. I guess as you look back now, the kind of the preparation that you all went through for such an extreme situation, do you kind of think there was enough? Do you think it would be different if you kind of did it again? Hopefully not. But Marina, maybe you take this one.
Yeah, thanks. That's a very good question. We indeed did a lot with initial preparations. We prepared emergency draft calculations for each of our clients, which we uploaded to SPM portal. We cooperated intensively with the third parties, such as banks, external archives, tax office, just to develop and agree a BCP plan with them. We set up additional cloud storage outside of Ukraine in the European Union just for our backups. We communicated our BCP plan to the clients and to the staff. But in addition to that, just in the response to the February 24th invasion, we had to take promptly some urgent steps, which included the setup of a second active mirror data center, which is actually a full replica of the current server in Kiev. This second data center is currently located outside of Ukraine, which ensures our stable connection to the databases where we process payroll. Later on, in the response of the danger of a blackout in Kiev, we installed Starlink at the office, which provides the satellite internet for the office, just to make sure that everybody can still continue working even if the power is off. But what is really important to mention and to point out that BCP, it is not just one plan. It's a living continuum of adapting to working in a changing environment, and the situation is really like changing every day, and we have to adapt our capabilities to our best operating advantage. So having one plan isn't actually enough, and having a plan just on the paper is not enough. It has to be a real acting plan, which needs to be constantly updated depending on the changing circumstances. Today, we're really proud to see that all our efforts in preparing for and responding to such harsh situations, which we are now going through, they paid out in terms of business continuity. We're proud to say that despite the war, we managed to retain the same quality of services as in pre-war times. We did not have a single processing failure due to the war-related events. And what is even more important, the confidentiality and integrity of our clients' data has been preserved.
So the planning and the preparation clearly was very good, and I know the continuity you just discussed kind of thing is appreciated by all of our clients who you continue to work with. So I think maybe, Helen, a question for you. Some of the biggest challenges you faced during this time, maybe you could share those, and then maybe share a little bit about how you dealt with those challenges as well over the last year and continue, I guess, to deal with them today.
Well, the biggest challenge really was in the first 10 days to hold ourselves together and to hold everybody together and hold the team together, not to let the fear and panic rule your decisions, to keep the team up, actually get everybody together to continue operations, even despite the horror around us. We were constantly checking the availability of our people to make sure that everybody is safe, just to make sure where everybody was at the time. Calling, messaging, making group calls every day, every hour sometimes. And the scariest moments, of course, were when we could not reach out to some of our people who were in Bucha and in Irpin areas for hours or sometimes days. It is also incredible how all people stayed together in the firm's group chat, and everybody tried to help each other in all ways possible. So I guess the teamwork, the communications, we started, but everybody just continued.
And so just following on from that, given that some people were kind of relocated either by choice or by necessity, how did you keep the team together despite the kind of the extraordinary circumstances, Helen?
Well, as I said, despite numerous warnings of potential invasion, most people were hoping it will not happen. So until February 24th, nobody wanted to believe that something like that could ever happen in Modern Wall, and no relocations were done. So all relocations were done then later spontaneously. And after a few days of war, we had 20% of our payroll team already outside of Ukraine, about 60% relocated to the eastern regions of Ukraine where it was safer, and about 20% of the team remained in Kyiv. Looking back at what was going on in February, we clearly understand that although there might be our recommendation, but whether to relocate or not, at the end of the day, is still a decision of every individual based on their family situation and personal judgment. just like the decision to return to Ukraine right now or in summer or in autumn, although it's not safe. In terms of organization of work, we did use the flexibilities that actually the COVID times gave us, so the flexibilities that we gained in recent years. And during the COVID pandemic, we learned not only to work remotely, but we also learned how to work remotely more efficiently than working offline in the office. This is how it worked.
So I know many of our clients, and obviously many people in Ukraine, were relying on all of you to be paid and to keep payroll running. So I'm curious as to how you did that. And Marina, maybe this is a question for you. Despite everything that was going on, you guys did a fabulous job of working with your clients, with our clients, and making sure that people were being paid when they were supposed to be and when they needed to be. So maybe just talk through some of the things that you did there.
Well, starting from the first day of invasion, the members of my team were trying to relocate to safer places. Some of them were staying sheltered at all times. We had a lot of personnel who was stuck in Bucha and Irpin, when the center of Kiev under the bombardments. So during the time, we really experienced a big shortage of personnel. And basically, we could work only in between the bombardments when we were up and able to connect to internet again. So fortunately, our business structure allows us to use the available resources from other departments, so we could quickly engage extra people from our accounting teams. But that was possible only thanks to the very detailed payroll operational procedures, which we have created for each of our clients. And that was the only thing which actually helped us to quickly assign new backups when we saw that the main specialist or the main backup was not available at the moment.
Thank you. So you've both talked a lot about some of the things that you've done from a work perspective, from a business continuity, and kind of how everybody's dealt with it. I'm curious from a personal level. Obviously, you're in Kiev, and you and your teams are kind of living through this at the moment. How do you keep yourselves? How do you keep your teams motivated and focused on some of the work they're doing? And I know how passionate you both are and your teams are about the work that you continue to do. So maybe Marina, if you could share a little bit of that for us.
Well, our perception of work has greatly changed since the start of the war. In the first hours of invasion, we actually realized that payroll is not just a business for us, but actually running payroll is a part of our social responsibility as a company, because many people in Ukraine, they just live from salary to salary, which they used to receive on a monthly basis, and they simply have minimal savings or no savings at all. So if we fail to pay them, they will have no means for existence. So seeing people behind payroll figures was something which kept us engaged, focused, and motivated even under air raids. We understand, of course, that it is also extremely important to continue to support the Ukrainian economy by working for Ukrainian employer, by paying taxes in Ukraine, by calculating payroll for Ukrainian employees. And this is extremely important to understand for every company which is still operating on Ukraine, or planning to exit, or planning just to open an office but still hesitating. And last but not least, our team is really thankful that they still have the job and that they are able to work technically, having all these possibilities with the Starlink and generators and additional power supplies. Many people of Ukraine, unfortunately, do not have this opportunity at the moment because they either lost their jobs or they just physically cannot work even if they want to.
So you've talked a lot about your teams and colleagues and kind of making sure that what you were doing every day and your focus on that and your feelings for that. How are some maybe of your clients dealing with the situation, and do they understand what you need from them and the challenges that you are facing? Again, Marina, maybe if you just kind of talk about some of the maybe conversations you've had with them and things that you kind of continue to work on with clients.
Thank you for this question. It's really an interesting one, and it was interesting to analyze how each of the clients reacted to this situation, which we all had to go through. Many of ADP clients, they did use these emergency default calculations, which we created upfront and which we uploaded to ADP portal. And to be honest, we were really thankful for that because it also helped us to save the resources for other payroll processings. Local client contacts, they honestly, they were really hard to reach in the end of February and in March, because we understand that they had to take care of themselves and of their families. Global contacts, on the contrary, they were very responsive. But to be honest, it was quite obvious that many of them, they just didn't have any ready scenario for such situation. And some of them really took long time to make the decisions, to collect the input. And I had a feeling personally that there were some clients also, which in these very first days of the war, they simply didn't quite realize what was actually happening at that moment in Ukraine. Because from these clients, we received like multiple requests for immediate full cycle rerun or several reruns due to the input change, or any type of add-on requests for tax advisory, for conference calls, for extra wage type creation, even for the GL file changes. And as you may understand, probably such add-ons, they're really hard to handle under the bombardment. So our main focus was, although we actually announced force majeure, but our still focus was to continue deliver the critical services. And what I'm trying to say here is that we all need to understand that BCP is our joint responsibility. It's not just the responsibility of ADP or the local partner. So it is extremely important that you, our clients, you also have your BCP, and not only for your core business activities, which your business exists for, but also for supportive functions such as processing payroll for your employees. I might sound probably like I'm saying very basic things, but even now, a year after the war started, I can still see that some of our local contacts of ADP clients, they're still struggling to provide the input on time because of the electricity power cuts in Ukraine. So if you still have your local team in Ukraine who stays here all the time and they're responsible for input provision, or they're authorizing the payments and releasing in the client bank system, you should definitely have a backup assigned to ensure timely provision of the input and to make all this work easier for both of us. We would also recommend probably to approve some protocols for payroll processing in case if you are simply not able to provide the input for whatever reason. I should also say that we are extremely thankful to all the ADP team here, to all camps, and especially to ADP partner management, namely to Ian Sparrow and to Marta Pons for all their tremendous support. These guys, they really stayed with me online all the time, like 24/7, giving me calls, sending me messages, asking, just making sure that we are all fine, and really trying to help with the client's communications. So that was really precious.
Good, that's great. Thank you, Marina. Helen, maybe a question for you. We kind of asked how it felt 12 months ago. How do you see the situation now, kind of 12 months on in Ukraine, different to maybe a year ago?
Well, the situation in Ukraine remains very challenging right now due to continuous bombardments and regular electricity cutoffs. However, we all believe in the victory of Ukraine, and not only many businesses decided to stay here, but we also see a lot of clients who actually start to enter Ukrainian market right now. So far, these are mainly international non-government and non-for-profit organizations providing all kinds of humanitarian and military aid for our country. But this gave us the opportunity to restart implementations to Ukraine. And just in January, we onboarded 6 new clients for payroll.
So that's incredible to hear that you onboarded 6 new clients in January. I just want to say thank you to you both for joining us and sharing your story. I think everybody can draw lessons and inspirations from all of you and the EBS team there and the wider community. I guess before you go, are there any last thoughts maybe that you'd like to share with this group?
Thank you, of course. Well, of course, I would like to thank ADP for this opportunity to share our story and for all support that we have been receiving during these rush times. I also want to thank our clients who actually continue their operations in Ukraine and despite all the circumstances, for supporting Ukrainian employees, supporting Ukrainian economy, for making all the generous donations to humanitarian needs of the country, to military needs of the countries that we all do here. From our end, we will continue doing our best to make sure that our BCP is always adequate and is always capable to handle any new challenges that we have to face and with those that might be coming. So we continue to review it, adapt it, invest into it, and be as best prepared as we can for blackouts, for any other events that might interfere in our normality and into normal operations. At the same time, our US clients and all the business community have a responsibility to help our community continue to. It is a cycle. And I guess the most important thing about the business continuity, it's not just a plan, it is also a conscious choice that personnel needs to make or decides to make, and the resilience aside of any technology and any infrastructure.
So Helen, Marina, listen, thank you for joining us. I think I speak for everybody in the room to say thank you for your time. We obviously appreciate you joining us and sharing what you've seen over the last 12 months, what you've done, what you continue to do, just on behalf of everybody in the room. And obviously it goes without saying, but we wish that you both stay incredibly safe and incredibly well over the coming weeks and months. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you.